Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Halton Hills housing update. So the market is definitely moving. It's just these listings that are going to kill our vibe right now. So looking at what happened last week, Georgetown had 10 sales, which is a fine number. I mean, it's not low, it's not high. It means the market is moving and we have a lot of stuff in sold conditional status. The bad news is there was 20 new listings, so far outpacing where our sales are, which means inventory just continues to climb. In Acton this week, we had 3 sales and 2 new listings. There was no sales and no new listings in Glen Williams, and the rural market saw 2 sales and 2 new listings. I mean, the nice thing for rural right now is it's had sales. Normally when we are getting into these inventory numbers, the rural market is like dead. So still some sales trickling there. Something to note is last week I touched on how some of our bigger ticket properties were selling. This week, more than half of our sales were over $1 million. So we are seeing those higher ticket properties selling right now, and the lower ticket stuff is not moving as rapidly as it normally would when we have high inventory. So that's interesting. So looking at the properties that terminated, relisted, came off the market, all of that stuff. So there were 12 properties that relisted at a lower price. Still seeing a lot of properties like reducing their pricing because the market just is not responding to it. Interestingly, 11 properties came off the market. That's quite a high number for this point in the market, and we really could use a lot more properties that don't need to be there coming off the market because our inventory is skyrocketing, and one of the things that keeps things at bay is people leaving the market at this point. So yeah, just lots of properties coming off the market. We want to see that. We had 1 property relist at the same price, and funny enough, we had 3 properties in like the worst market ever try to hold off offers, and they had to relist at a higher price. So honestly, just that strategy is a tough one right now. Buyers are not interested in that game, and they're certainly not paying a premium on a lot of houses. So I don't know. It's so tough to pick a strategy when you're going to list in this market, but that's kind of one of the ones I'm avoiding at the moment. Unless you've got a fixer-upper and like it's going to be busy and you're really under listing for what it is, I just don't think that that's where the money is going to be. And some of these properties just like relisted like 50K higher. Like, I don't know, like you got to go low if you're going to hold off, but anyways, we had 3 properties that came on the market at a higher price than they were listed at last week. One way to do it. And then looking at active inventory, we're up to 280 active listings in all of Halton Hills from 273. So we did see a climb last week. I think that this number is not as high as we've been, but this is just going to continue to climb week to week. We are seeing a ton of new properties every day hitting the market, and the buyer activity, although much better than we saw in the spring, is definitely not as high as we need it to be. I'm talking like when we were in the peak of the market, we were getting like 120 to 140 sales in a month in Georgetown, and we haven't hit over 100 in a really long time. So we still have a long way to go before our buyer activity is like hot. Georgetown this week is up from 156 to 166 active listings, so took a climb this week, and I just think that we are going right back to where we were in terms of inventory levels in the spring. Looking at our price points, under 800,000 is down slightly to 27 active listings. There is so much stuff available though in that lower pocket, and I can't believe more of it is not moving. 800 to $1 million is up to 44 active listings from 39. There are so many good houses. Like when I think about like, okay, where the numbers were in the peak of the market, like some of these houses are $300,000-$400,000 less than that time. And there are some really good deals to be bought, in my opinion, in this pocket. So if you're a buyer, like stop waiting for the market to bottom out and pick something up. Like at some point with our interest rates continuing to go down here, we are going to flip into a buyer's market. It definitely won't be this year, but it's still a really good time to be buying a house. It's also a really good time to be moving up if you're realistic on what you can get on your sale, because the gap to move up feels like it's not as big as it used to be. 1 to 1.5 million is up to 75 active listings from 73. So not a huge jump, but it's enough that I just can't even wrap my head around that there are 75 properties available in that pocket. Again, that is how many we had available at the start of the year in all of Georgetown. 1 to 1.5 million is up from 16 to 20 active listings. So lots coming up in that pocket, and we know that that pocket is a pocket that sits. So still lower than we've seen that number, but we all know that that price point does not transact as rapidly, so those properties that are coming on likely are going to sit for a while. Acton this week is down slightly to 36 active listings from 38. Glen Williams is down from 13 to 12, and the rural market stayed the same at 66. So overall, I do think the positive in this whole thing is that the market is still moving. We are not seeing buyer activity die off right now. Showings are busy. I had a listing in Milton that got 3 offers last night. Like, especially if you have a unique property that kind of product doesn't come up a lot, there is possibilities of multiple offers, even if you are listing at market value-ish. So it's a good market compared to where we've come from, in my opinion, of the first 6 months of 2025. I do think things, as inventory piles on, will start to shift downward a bit come mid-October. But then we know that in November and December, we see a lot of properties exit the market. And I'm really hoping that this January can sort of be a restart, that we can, everyone's sort of gone through those renewals that everyone's talking about, and we can sort of start fresh in January. That's like my goal for the next 6 months. But right now, the good news is that buyers are out, not in like crazy amounts, but they're active, and the listings just need to like slow down a smidge. So we'll see what happens here. I think September numbers are going to be strong compared to where we've come from the last few months. So we'll have to see what happens. I will be back next week. Have a great week, everyone.